Hi, everyone. Welcome to Grab Your Keys. I am super excited today that I have a friend and peer in the entrepreneur world with me, Peter Kyriakodis. So did I say that right? Yeah.
Got it.
Kind of. I got it. So he is the owner of Prime IV in Bluebell that I go to all the time. I absolutely love it. So I love having people on with things that I love to do. So this is something that I think is super exciting and good for you. So Peter, welcome to Grab Your Keys.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thanks for having me on.
So how did you get into the business, into this business?
I think like most entrepreneurs, it was like one thing led to another. So, I had a family business that we started in 2006 in the insurance world. Over 15 years, we were very successful, but kind of wanted to branch out and see, what I learned and whether I can apply it to other areas. So then I got into Amazon logistics. I ran a 70 truck fleet with about 140 employees at that business. And I met a friend of mine in Boston who was doing the same thing, and he had mentioned Prime IV. The unique part about Prime IV is that it was definitely the next step on my journey, but what kind of shaped that journey was in 2017, I had a son who was born with heart defect, and he had 3 open heart surgeries by the time he was 3 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so that kind of changed the course of what I thought was important, what I was kind of, my mission in life really kind of shifted at that moment.
Right, being a dad and dad to a complicated situation,
And
get thrown into it
yeah,
fast.
so the focus went from how much can I make and earn and grow, financially, to what can I give? How can I give back? And how much one life makes a difference. And I get to watch that life play out that otherwise wouldn't have been here. And I get to see the impact on one life on so many people. And I can always say that prior to that, I know how important a life is, but I never really understood the gravity of it. And when I see my son interact with others now that he's turning 8 years old in a couple weeks,
Yeah, wow.
yeah, it just shifted. We all go through what we go through. Many people said when I was going through it, I can't imagine going through that. But when you're at CHOP Children's Hospital and you see others, you say to yourself, I can't believe or imagine going through what they're going through, right? So we all have our stuff. But essentially, in the next step of my life, I wanted to do something that gave back, that was good, that was full of wellness, that just allowed people to feel vibrant and alive and taken care of, and to support their wellness journey. So all of this kind of came together in a very unexpected way. But the genesis of it was my son, and the path that then I shifted toward in my life in terms of what I wanted to stand for when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and when doors open, walking through those doors and seeing what the experience can possibly be to help others, to help your son, to improve your life. And I think that that's something that you definitely do, and you are geared towards having a family-like culture at your Prime IV. And
Yeah, we want to take you away. I mean, you've been there, earlier today you were there, and it's all about just kind of eliminating the stress, going into a place where all of a sudden what you walked into eliminates what you just walked in from,
right.
right? And it's a place where you can take care of yourself, but feel like you're just totally immersed, and it's taking you away from the life that was going on around you and giving you that sense of 1 hour of just, it's yours. You own it. It's relaxing. It's rejuvenating. So like that was the idea. I really wanted to make it a safe place and a comfortable environment that was different than, anywhere else you might go.
Yeah, what do you think what is one of the biggest treatments that you do at Prime IV that, somebody would really benefit from in their life?
It crosses to everybody's life, right? Like you've got the treatments that you've come in for, and you're obviously, super excited about those. And, we have from athletes to grandmothers to, college students to, across the spectrum. So when you have,
Mhm.
it really touches on energy, weight loss, anti-aging, focus, anxiety and mental health, just
Detox.
overall. What's that?
You're detoxing. You,
Detox.
like I said today, I'm on some extra medicine because I have a bad back right now. And I was like, I really need to cleanse my liver. Like, let's
Right.
get into work that through. And of course, that's what I'm saying, And
Well, I was on a 4-day golf trip over the weekend, right?
right.
And I definitely needed that too. So on Monday, I was right there in the massage chair and, trying to get my feet back under me for the week because we're all super busy. And when we get to take time for ourselves, we do need the recovery to support that because life doesn't slow down, right? Like your life doesn't slow down.
None of our lives slow down. We're in a very busy life right now. What do you feel the 3 keys to success in business are?
I mean, you really just have to relate to people. If you make every interaction in this space, right, the Prime IV space, if you make every interaction personal and you really focus on the details, you're not going to miss. It may not be for everybody, but at the end of the day, the experience they had, they're going to say positive things about you, and your reputation carries you all the way through your career. The interaction you had 5 years ago all of a sudden shows up on your doorstep, today, and you never could have imagined that. And that's one thing I learned early in my career is that you just have to manage every single relationship and interaction as though it's the most important at the time.
So relate to people, be personal, and know the details.
Know the details, right? Make it personal. Relationships kind of, give you all the opportunity in life on either side. And to me, that's really been, how I've kind of walked each journey and these doors have opened. The second thing is don't be afraid to take a chance, right? Like you've got to walk through the door. You've got to create as many opportunities as possible. And each time that I've created a new business and taken a step out, I've been scared. There has never been a lack of fear, but what I've learned is just take one step at a time. There's no top of the mountain. We all look at it and say, oh man, is it going to be difficult to get up there? And at the end of the day, it's just each day's walk leads to the next day's opportunity. And sometimes those doors shut and you get to the point where you're like, all right, I'm good. I'm not going to follow that anymore because the door's shut. But what you often find is that it leads to anher door. It leads to another opportunity.
Right. Yeah. And everyone always says to me like, oh, you wanted to open up a mortgage company. That was a goal of yours. No, it wasn't a goal of mine. I didn't have it. But when the door opened, I walked through it and I loved all the experience that I had with that experience. And I think that, learning to meet new people, being open to the opportunity is something that you really have to manifest yourself. It's just knowing what the people are and putting everyone together. And that's something that I think you do really well is that if you're not good at one thing, you put people in the places to be good at it.
Yeah. I mean, again, something else that's super important when you're opening businesses or you're part of something or you have these ideas in the future is it's all about who you surround yourself with, right? In my first business, it took me about 10 years to surround myself with the right people. In this business, it took me about 10 months, right? And that's the difference of the experience, right? Knowing where you're good. And I felt for so long, right? Many people are like, work on your weaknesses. You got to get stronger on your weaknesses. You've got to really focus on your weaknesses and curb them. And what I learned over time is no, let me find somebody else where that's a strength.
Right.
Give them an opportunity. Absolutely. And then have them work at a place that really cares and caters to their needs. And I always say to myself that one of my biggest goals when anybody works for me is that they look back 10 years from now and say, whether or not they're with me or not, that opportunity was one that really helped me in life and that I really appreciate my time there. And if I can create that for all my employees, even if they stay for a month or 10 years, I know I'm doing my part as an employer to create positive employment, situations and people that are growing in my organization, to invest in them, to help them see beyond what maybe their limitations they think are there.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's also helping them with like challenges also. So what's one challenge that you face that you think shaped who you are today? Would it be the issue with your son?
Well, I mean, that's certainly changed the course.
Huge. Yeah.
Right. And, I think every couple of years, there's new challenges that shape it. Being in a family business early, from 24 years old and not having the idea of, what business is, and the challenges that came with that, like not having fights over Thanksgiving dinner or having the challenges of, my decision versus your decision with my sister and my father, like that really shaped, my professional ability to learn and mature and grow and know what I want, what I don't want, and how to get it right in a way that creates peace and strength versus, arguments. Right. So working in that family dynamic was one of the biggest things that shaped me as a person.
Yeah, and I would think that being young, not being in business, not having any experience in business, and then being thrown in that atmosphere was challenging, probably, because you're trying to figure out, how do I do business and how do I work with my family at the same time?
Yeah, you're carrying a lot of baggage from your youth, right? Like, that's still your sister and your dad, right? It's not Sue, who, me and her are going to be very professional and have those. It's, you're my sister. Like, why?
Right. Yeah. How do you see the Prime IV industry, or even the wellness industry, evolving? And where do you hope to be with it?
Yeah, I mean, it is evolving. I think we're on the crest of a wave that's crashing now on the shore because, unfortunately, I think the health insurance industry is leaving a lot of people asking for more. The primary cares are asking people leaving for more. The misdiagnosis and the misdirection of people's care is happening at a more prevalent rate. So when you have a place like Prime IV where you're working with a medically supported facility, they're actually dialing into the issues that you have and coming up with all natural ways to supplement your body with the strength it needs through vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. I believe I've seen through you and so many others that have walked through the door, the trust factor that is ingrained in our members and our patients that come through, because they see how much we care and how much it's changing their outcomes. Right? If we're preventing pneumonia symptoms from getting to 105-degree fever because you're getting the right vitamins in your system, like, we're saving you a trip to the hospital. So, what was urgent care, I think now Prime IV has a place to support not having to be urgent, right? The 25th hour need is now supplemented with care over time. And I think the supplemental generation that we all grew up in, where we're taking the pills out of the cabinet and we've got our 7 days and the 14 pills a day, what Prime IV does and shops and similar shops in the wellness space is they're going to help we're going to start taking those pills out of the counter, right? That digest in your tract at 50%. You're not getting the full benefit of those. So I like to say that a lot of us are operating with a quarter tank of gas and we're trying to fill it up with a thimble every day. And a place like Prime IV gives you that full tank.
Right. And I know from personal experience that even if you're dehydrated, instead of going to the emergency room, I've been like, I'm sick, I don't feel well, I'm dehydrated, I need to go for an IV. Let me go to Prime IV and get that IV. And then I feel better. It at least gets me through to start recovering.
And I think we went through a winter of
what it needs.
Tons of viruses and it's happened since COVID. Like, it's been, the viruses that have occurred have been pretty strong and people are reacting in different ways. I personally go off my own experience. Like, I started IV treatment in last September when we opened. I'd never done anything like that prior. I haven't been sick in 9 months. I may have felt a cold coming on, but not like my kids bringing it home and me falling into the bed and then having to stay there for 3 days. Like, I haven't missed a day of work. And every time I do get sick, I go in there. And when I start to feel symptoms, and it flushes it right out, and I feel the bounce. So, I do believe that we are early, but this is being very. It's solving a lot of people's issues that are getting ahead of.
So we're being proactive in people's medicine and people's health to make sure they're not dehydrated, to make sure they have all the right vitamins. I know you get your blood work done, you can bring your blood work and then you can have things supplemented based on what your blood work is. That's super important. That it's something that hasn't been around or readily accessible at all.
Yeah, where do you think it's going? You've been active here in the last 4 or 5 months with Prime IV, and you'd never had seen it before. What's your thought on how all of this is playing in?
Yeah, so I love it. I'm all about the injections. I know you do IVs, but you also do the injections and the boosts. And I have always been one to get like a B12 shot so that I have the energy that I like, because I like to be high energy. And I know when I am feeling depleted, I can go in and say, can I have a B12 shot? Like, I'll even say today, I have a pinched nerve. I couldn't wait to go in and get my magnesium and my Toradol shot. I was like waiting. You were closed yesterday. I was like, who can I call to open up and help me? So,
that would have been me.
Yeah. So, and then that gets me over the hump, and, and I'm not in as much pain. because I know that I have supplements that will be able to get me there. So instead of taking the pills, it goes right into my system and I feel it more immediately than waiting for days for that. So I think it's something that's a necessity. And even as I said, I'm a person who gets dehydrated, and I like to know that, and I know that I prep. I have to drink my water before I go in to get the IV. I don't think that I could live without you guys. And I did that NAD treatment. I didn't do the drip, but I did the shots, and that was super great. I did really like that, and that's for anti-aging and a lot of other things. So I think by always you have the Niagen shots, you have the NAD, you have lots of different opportunities for everyone, and people just need to see what fits them.
Oh yeah, we have the GLP-1s. So there's semaglutide and tirzepatide.
Mm-hmm.
It's been incredibly effective for weight loss. It's swept the nation. But at the same time, with those medications, you're going to need IV supplement. And I think there's some things that are going on out there, and the accessibility of it without the medical direction, right? And the combination of those two things are going to keep you safe while on the GLP-1s. And I think if you don't have that medical direction, you should come to a place like Prime IV or your primary care if they have the ability to kind of direct you to understand what else you need to supplement that, because what you're putting in, it's beneficial, but what's happening inside is stuff that we don't know, right? And if you don't know what's happening inside and there's an adverse effect, you're going to be left without the care that you need because no one's going to be monitoring it. And it's super important that people are monitoring you on your GLP-1s.
Yeah, and I also love that you talk to the primary care physician at times, that you're willing to have that. You have medical staff that are all certified, that are all, like the top of their class in your facility. And I love that, you do, you can't get an IV for 72 hours. Yet at different times, you could have a doctor's note, and instead of going to the emergency room, you can actually go to you and see how you can actually benefit from that. And you work with the doctors on that. And that's super great to have that benefit of having that type of facility there. Plus, you're in such a nice environment. It's spa-like, and it has, the massage chairs, and it's super great. So what's one piece of advice that you use all the time?
One piece of advice I use all the time is I try to lead by servitude, right? Like, be more of a servant leader, and allow your people the room to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
Those two things. It's more golden rule kind of driven. Those are the types of, and everything you're doing today is going to show up 2 years from now. So, from that regard, don't let a day go by where you're not giving it everything you got. Even if you feel down, get something done. It's going to show up.
I love what you just said. Can you say it again? Everything you're doing now, you'll find
everything you're doing today shows up 2 years from now. Yeah. That's the compound effect of it all, right? And you can't let a day go by where you're not touching something and moving the needle, moving the ball down court. Because it's going to show up again. And every day that goes by, you're creating 2 years from now what that outcome is going to be.
And you have started this to have more harmony in your life with having children and family and coming from a family business. How do you feel your life has changed to have that harmony between work and family?
How
do you do that? I ask women and men both that now, because it used to be such a woman question. How do you have balance and harmony? But I think that men are also having that challenge at times too.
Yeah, I mean, my father he owned a diner, 24-hour diner. And then when he got into the insurance business, he kind of had that philosophy, which was like a very stressful environment. Like, you do all things for all people, and then, you don't have enough time in the day to get home and cook dinner or be with the kids or the family. And I think I grew up in a generation where, I was expected to work 10, 11 hours a day. I did it. And it made sense. But then I learned over time that doesn't have to be the outcome.
Right.
You can be as successful as you want to be if you can build a system that allows you to have your time, right? So for me, the answer to that question really comes down to how well I allow pick and select my people that are working, and give them the runway to do what they need to do, and trust them with, measurable ways to know that each day is leading us to our goals. So, it's deeper than that, but, to save us the time here and that's really where I've learned how to take my time. And then with my time, I'm able to go be with my children and my family. And, technology also takes us down the road to the point where it gives us a lot more freedom to be with our kids and our family while things are going on with a quick check-in. So I think it's easier in today's world than it was maybe, say, a couple generations ago.
So you spoke about in your last answer with me goals. What your goal to get to your goals. Do you have your goals written down? Do you know what your goals are? You have benchmarks? How do you measure that?
Yeah, and in every business I get into, it takes a little time, but there's always like 3 to 5 specific targets that if you put those up in front of everybody, everything else in the business is going to carry, right? And if you're able to isolate those 3 to 5 metrics, benchmarks, targets, goals, and then really focus your team on those, the efficiency of the entire business lifts, right? One of the things I like to say is that for my businesses, I always liken it to the Olympics. The Olympics, the people who make the Olympic team aren't guaranteed their spot in 4 years. No. Not. You have to raise the bar consistently. And that's what I've kind of learned as an entrepreneur is that, like, I want that same mentality. It doesn't mean you're a good or a bad person, right? There's everyone that I like to interact with, I like to think is good. But you have to consistently meet the mark and consistently raise the bar in order for you to be an elite mortgage broker or an elite Prime IV owner or any kind of business owner. So you have to continue to do that. And that's how I look at my business.
Yeah. If you were mentoring your younger self, what's one piece of advice you would share with your younger self?
That I would listen to?
That you would listen to?
I don't know. Like, how do you answer that question?
I would say what you've already said in a way is that mentoring is walking through any door that opens to see what the experience and opportunities are there. And I'm a big proponent of that, and also challenging yourself to be uncomfortable every day and do the uncomfortable things first. So that's what I like to be comfortable feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah, they say fail fast, right? Fail forward.
Yeah. Right? So, I mean, I didn't want to wake up at 6:30 this morning and be dressed and be in King of Prussia for a meeting at 8 o'clock, that, a networking meeting, but I had to be comfortable being uncomfortable at that early hour and just get there.
That's phenomenal.
And, you just have to do it.
It's the only way you really change and develop, right? I've heard you're either green and growing or ripe and rotting, right? That's another one that sticks in the back of my head.
Yeah.
To be green and growing, you have to be uncomfortable, right? You have to and patient. And I think that's the one thing I would say to my younger self is that it's okay, right? Just be patient, right? Just keep doing the things you're doing, and you'll get there. Don't put more pressure on yourself than necessary.
Yeah, patience is a virtue, and a lot. We don't all have it very much.
Not shared on all of us the same way.
I think my mom came into Prime IV this week and asked if there was an IV for patience. Yeah. So I think that was her exact thing she said to me. So what is in the future for Peter? I know it's your birthday too, so happy birthday. So besides turning a year older today, in that year or into the future, what is in the store for Prime IV and Peter?
It's just growth. We're going to continue to keep things on the track that we're on, and try to elevate our experience for our patients and our members, similar to, if we could have 1,000 Sue-Meitners, that's what we're looking for in the future.
1,000 Sue-Meitners, yes.
1,000 Sue-Meitners.
Too much to handle.
I look forward to the challenge.
Yeah. So Peter, thanks so much for being with us today. Everyone, if you liked this, please like it, share it with a friend, enjoy, try to contact Prime IV. We'll have all their information below. It is a great place that you can take care of yourself. And in the busy world that we all lead, with everyone who's listening to this podcast, you should definitely take some time for yourself. So grab those keys and we'll see you next time.